Okay, moving on to England. How do you reflect on? You've talked a little bit about their performance within the Australian stuff you've talked about. What are your thoughts on how they performed and the guys you've seen that were playing that you might not have seen before?
Yeah, no, it's I think England as a whole for the Test match played exceptionally well. They outplayed Australia in every department. There was a few little minor concerns to start with. At 3 for 43. If Joe Root went for a duck, 4 for 43, I think that potentially that whole Test match could have taken a totally different direction. But that's cricket. You have a bit of luck, and Joe Root just showed just what a fine player he is, and you can't give him any opportunity. And when a team lets you off, you've got to really make him pay. And he went out and did that, took the game away from Australia. Actually, probably helped Gary balance by having Joe Root there scoring as freely, whereas Gary just looked all at sea, but somehow managed to hang around with Joe and get what did he get 60, 70 runs. So
yeah.
But so that was and then then they're away. They put on a big first innings lead, and the rest is history. So England would have been happy to win the toss. The wicket was pretty slow, but then you've got to go out there and capitalise. Their bowlers did an incredible job. I thought Jimmy Anderson bowled really well. Stuart Broad impressed me. I think to bowl on the wickets over here with the Duke cricket ball is something I really loved, and I think Stuart Broad does fairly similar things. And he obviously loves bowling with the Duke ball and playing in English conditions. So the bowling unit as a whole, really impressed me with the way they went about things. There's enough variation there to offer something different. First time I really saw Mark Wood.
Yeah, what did you think?
In a Test match. Yeah, it was interesting. He doesn't have a very long run, but he sort of powers through the crease pretty well. He tries quite a few different things, which is good when it's in a team that's working well. You like to think a little bit of consistency, be able to build pressure, not always looking to take a wicket. But I thought he did well. He had enough variation there. Bowling wide in the crease and. He got the ball through pretty well, so he powers through the crease. So he impressed me, and I think he was the perfect guy to bring on after Anderson and Broad, because he's so different. And then with Stokes and Moeen Ali had an incredible test too. Moeen did, so there was enough variation there. Everyone went out there, did their job, and they bowled really well as a unit.
It's interesting. The Moeen Ali situation is interesting because I actually reflect on it. It wasn't dissimilar. Going into when England played India last summer, there was a lot of talk about him getting smacked out of the attack, and actually he seems to do really well in that situation. Yeah. Actually, when people attack him, India tried to do the same, and it was very similar at Cardiff. Do you think there'll be a different approach to him at Lords, or do you think the Aussies will keep attacking him?
Well, I think it'll be interesting to see, because I think Moeen bowled pretty well, but I think Australia didn't do themselves any favours. You look at the way Smithy got out, the way Michael Clark got out, sort of a couple of gifted wickets there really, and I think Moen's the type of guy, and hearing all the English commentators and ex-players saying you just sit on him, you'll get a bad ball and you can work it around, but he went out there, he smashed 77 with the tail. To me he's a batsman that bowls a bit, but his bowling's really picked up and did exceptionally well. He got some big wickets for Australia. There was, I think, 3 big moments I see or probably 4 big moments within the Test match, which England won all of them. When Root was dropped on 0, he capitalised there. The morning where they bowled Australia out, got 5 for 44. Big wicket of Davey Warner before lunch on day 4. Australia were really starting to capitalise and build a good partnership, and to go into lunch then, I think they would have been on a bit of a high. England would have been a little bit deflated. The fact that he picked up that wicket right on lunch, just roles were reversed, and then England didn't look like easing up then. So they were the 4 big. That was 4, wasn't it?
That was 3.
3. There was a 4th one. On end of was it day 2? I think when. Jimmy Anderson had bowled 5 or 6 maidens in a row, really built up some pressure.
Ben Stokes.
And then Stokes got Adam Voges out. That was another big moment. So if they got through that day, I think you'd say Australia were probably slightly in front at that stage. When he fell, they were, it was even, if not England slightly in front.
Okay, and I guess this is a hard one for you, but what would be your advice to the England team and their approach going into Lords?
Well, it's just keep the energy up. They seem to be a good team unit, enjoying each other's company, each other's success. So just do exactly the same thing. Don't get caught up in all the media hype and start thinking, one more test and we can win this series, and just go out and business as usual. Go out there, enjoy yourself, play some good quality cricket like you did in that first test match, and that's what it's about. You've got to back yourself, you've got to enjoy yourself and enjoy the big moments and when the pressure's on. So they don't have to do anything differently, just prepare the same way. But realise that this Australian team will probably come pretty hard at them and be ready for it, not to get complacent, and it could be a very good series.
Yeah. The last thing I want to talk to you about is the Lord's wicket, really. I think all eyes will be on it a little bit. I understand yesterday it was quite green, but it'll be heavily cut, I imagine, today. What do you expect Lords will prepare for this test match?
I've always thought the Lord's wicket is brilliant. There's enough in it for the bowlers, and there's to keep them interested if they work hard. And then the batsmen, if they get in, they can sort of post a good score. The slope, is a little bit different. So something I guess it takes a little bit to get used to if you haven't played on it before, but it can work for you or against you. But I can't see them preparing a quick wicket. I think last time Australia were here, they produced a pretty slow wicket. I think they're trying to nullify, the pace of Mitchell Starc and Mitchell Johnson, and so I think the wicket's not going to be overly quick, but it's a special place to play, and I think you do need to work out the line and length pretty early. It still has to be hitting the top of off stump, but the line, depending on which end you're bowling from, if you're from the pavilion end, the line is probably a little bit further outside off stump than normal, hoping that the occasional one will hold its line and go straight, and the rest will come back down the slope into the stumps, and from the other end you probably have to bowl a little bit straighter because the slope is taking the ball away from the right-hander. So length's still the same English length, but the lines are slightly different depending on which end you're bowling from. And if you get that right, it can be a great wicket to bowl on.
The final thing, just on the wicket, because we're going to do something on Breeze Sport tonight actually around what sort of wickets England should prepare. I found it interesting comments from Michael Clarke and Darren Lehmann about the wicket at Cardiff, and that they hoped for a bit more grass at Lords. And I'm clearly one-eyed Englishman, but I found that strange because I wonder what they expected.
Yeah, that's what they would have expected, and I've seen by your comments on Breeze Sport that you're very one-eyed, unlike myself, who's very non-biased. But no, it's you've got to support your own team.
Absolutely.
But I think it wasn't so much the lack of grass, because I thought it had a really good covering. It was just so slow.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I don't think Lords could produce a wicket that was that slow. I was talking to Stuart Broad as well, and he said it was really slow and didn't quicken up that much. It carried through a little better as the test went on, but it was still pretty slow. All the hype and everything that goes into a test series, especially an Ashes series, and the build-up and everything that had happened in the weeks leading up. You're waiting for that first ball, running in, there's a hush around the stand, and all of a sudden it pitches and just hardly makes it through to the keeper. You think, what an anti-climax that was. But at the end of the day, both teams have to go out there and play on the wicket, and England handled the conditions a lot better. Like I said, I'm not expecting a quick wicket at Lords or any test match. It's like when Australia tour India. You know you're going to get slow turning wickets, and that's just the way it is. So it's... But I think the one in Cardiff, we're expecting a slow wicket, but we're surprised actually how slow it was.
Could we have a slow wicket when we go to the Gabba?
The Gabba's actually, the funny thing, the Gabba's a good wicket to bat on. It looks green, looks like it's going to do anything and do everything. But Australian teams love to win the toss and bat. First hour or so will go through and tough work, but once you get through, it's a brilliant wicket to bat on. So I think for batsmen, they like a good, consistent wicket where they can get the pace of the ball too. I think, apart from Joe Root and the Australian team probably allowed Joe Reid a little bit of freedom with the fields they set. That wicket was really slow and hard to get in on, and you know it's you've still got to set the right fields. And I think the one thing I didn't mention was Ian Bell in the second innings at Cardiff, who I thought came out with a bit between his teeth and played exceptionally well. He backed himself. He needed to do something, and that was a big test for him, and he pulled through. So, you know, England are in fine form. The wicket at Lords, I think, is still going to be slow, but Australia need to bounce back now, and otherwise the Test match or the Test series is done.